You mean everything to me because I know you mean everything to Christ. And Christ means everything to me.
And I called on the Lord. I said, man, that Father, this is real. Will you watch over them? Will you raise them up to be strong? I'm just a man with flesh. This is what you called for in your scriptures. You said they wore studs and fringes, they got it on. You said they will follow the law, they doing it. You said under your house shine, they ought to love one another. And they doing it.
Shalom. This is to all Israelite groups and all Israelite communities and all breakoffs from One West and breakoffs from breakoffs from breakoffs from breakoffs. No matter what rainbow uniform you wear, red, white, purple and white, all white, it don't matter. You should all treat the ISUPK like your weird, misunderstood Sabbaths. You shouldn't do anything until you counsel with the ISUPK. We'll tell you when and what to eat. We'll tell you who to marry. We'll tell you who to have sex with and how. We'll tell you how to resolve conflicts with your wives. We'll tell you how to resolve conflicts with your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your parents, your friends, everybody. We'll tell you when and how to pray. We'll tell you how to direct your life in a way that's pleasing to the Most High God of Israel and our Black King Yahushua, a.k.a. Jesus Christ. We will be to you instead of a God. Just like the Most High told Moses in Exodus 4:16 that Aaron would be to him instead of a mouth and he would be to Aaron instead of a God, that's what we'll do for you. It is what you all need because none of you know what the fuck you are doing. I pray you understand. Shalom.
Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shabrakatah, to all the brothers, and Shalom, Yahweh Shamar Alatham, Hashem Yahweh Shah to all the sisters. We are the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, under Commandant General Yohana. And tonight we have another Monday class in English this time. Again, we are the ISUPK. We've been teaching the truth of the Bible, the truth of the scriptures. Part of that truth is that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? We are the true children of Israel. And just right, bless the Most High, right? In the name of Christ. For this truth, right? Bless the Most High, the water for the Most High, for this truth, right? And for all the men that have put into work, all the generals and the captains, blessings, right? In the name of the Most High, for this truth, right? This truth is something that has not been taught in the places where the name of the Lord has been mentioned, right? The name of Christ, speaking of God, whether in the Christian church, Catholic church, the Muslim buildings or whatever, right? This truth of the scriptures is only being the real truth of the scriptures is only being taught here in the ISUPK. Right, so a big thank you to the Most High for this truth. We understand, right, that We are the true children of Israel. And that's an essential truth, an important truth that we as blacks and Hispanics need to know, need to understand. An essential theme of the scriptures, right, is the identity of the children of Israel. And I remember growing up, going to the Christian church, and I raised a question while, after reading the scriptures, I came to the conclusion that I told the people that I looked up to in the church, who I esteemed as somebody who knew about God, right, like pastors or leaders in the church, and I brought this to their attention. I was like, wait a minute, this book sounds like it's only for Israel. Like, it doesn't pertain to me. I'm just a Gentile. And they were like, no, God is not dealing with Israel anymore. He's given his word to everybody in the whole world. But because I was naive and really didn't understand the Bible, I accepted it and began, doing the Christian walk or whatever, right? Believing in Jesus and just being able to do whatever you want. But I wasn't wrong, in raising that idea in my mind that this book is only for the children of Israel. And time lapse, right? Going forward to, I guess, my older days, I hear this truth about the scriptures that it's only for children of Israel. And not only that, but that the children of Israel are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians or Native Americans, right? And that truth pretty much changes the whole dynamic. For us as blacks and Hispanics to understand who we are, understanding where we come from, right? The history of who we are has been pretty much forgotten. The history of who we are, we don't understand. Like us, our parents, say, coming from Mexico and raising us here in the United States, like we don't know further back than our grandfather. We don't know where we come from. We just have knowledge of our grandfather, but beyond that, we have no knowledge. And being raised here in America, even here in America, or here in the United States, we're still a lost people. We still have no knowledge of who we are. We go from calling ourselves Chicano, calling ourselves Mexican American, Mexican, calling ourselves different things throughout history. And the truth of the matter, it is in the Bible, in the scriptures. And the fact of the matter is that us being the lost people, we are the true children of Israel. And if we can, hold on, let me close this out. So if we can go to Jeremiah, chapter 31 and starting verse 15. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rahel weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children, because they were not." Verse 16, "Thus saith the Lord, refrain thy voice from weeping, and thine eyes from tears. For thy work shall be rewarded, saith the Lord, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy. You look amongst blacks and Hispanics, and you see a people that is destroyed, a people that is weeping because of everything that we go through. You know, we talk about it all the time. We see what's happening, but yet we feel powerless, like we can't do anything about it. Like I see every day different accounts of our people getting unalived, and there's no power in our hand to do anything about it. We see, our people getting incarcerated, getting arrested, getting put in immigration facilities, getting deported, and we can't do anything about it, right? But the truth of the scriptures, right, it tells us, here it says, thus saith the Lord, refrain thy voice from weeping, and thine eyes from tears. For thy work shall be rewarded, saith the Lord, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy. Right, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we find ourselves in the conditions that we find ourselves in, seeking to cope with what's happening to us, right? Because we don't have any power to do anything about it. We don't have any power to save our brother from an immigration facility. We don't have any power to save our people getting sent back, to the country where they came from, and stop them from being unalived by the governments and the people that rule over those lands. We don't have any power to stop that, right? So we have a state of mourning, of weeping, of tears, and we try to mask it, with partying and getting high and getting drunk, and just act like it's not happening. We go to work, we try to get good jobs, and we find ways to alleviate, right, the situation, right? But the situation and the condition remains after we finish partying, after we finish getting high, after whatever it is that's our cup of tea, we continually are in that same condition, of weeping and feeling powerless, But again, in verse 16 it says, thus saith the Lord, refrain from thy voice from weeping, and thine eyes from tears. Right? It says, for thy work shall be rewarded. Right? If you're a so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American, right, the Most High is saying to cease from weeping, cease from the tears, cease from seeking to alleviate that pain, and it says thy work shall be rewarded. Right? You as a black man, as a Hispanic man, a Mexican man, right? There's nothing out in this world, right, that pertains to you. Right? There's nothing out there for you, right? But to come and do the work of the Most High here in the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana. Right? The Most High says, thus saith the Lord, it says, thy work shall be rewarded. Right? You blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans are to gather with our people, right, and serve the Most High. Right? It says, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy. If you're not in this body, right, you wasting away your life. If you're not gathering with blacks and Hispanics here in the ISUPK, you wasting your life and your resources It says, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy. Right, being in the land of our enemy here in the United States, here in the United States of Mexico and South America. Right, we are still in the land of our enemy. We are still in subjection to a people that have gathered together against us to keep us in perpetual bondage. Right, and coming from the land of our enemy, we are gathering ourselves back unto the Lord. Let's go to Matthew chapter 2. Matthew chapter 2 and verse 16. It says, then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So in this account in Matthew, right, it's around the time that Christ was to be born, and Herod became aware that the King of the Jews was to be born around this time, and he ordered all the children in Bethlehem and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, to be slain, right? And so this is what was done in order to target the Messiah, in order to target Yahushua, right? In order to target Christ. And the fact that our enemy, right, would do this to or attempt to do this to our king, right, he'll most definitely do that to the rest of Christ's people, right? He'll do that to us as blacks and Hispanics, right? And so when we look in the society that we live in, right, the conditions that surround us, are not just by chance. In the same way that King Herod, an enemy of the children of Israel, enemy of Christ, right? He made decrees or orders to slay all the children, targeting Christ. Had no regard for even children. And the same devils that were in this time are still alive in this time, and the same people, right, the children of Israel that were in that time in the scriptures, are still here on the planet in this time. And so the conditions, right, that we live in, right, are not by chance, right? Before we are even born, there's already measures being taken, right, to destroy you, black and Hispanic men, women, and children. There's already a plan set before we were even born into this world to destroy you, to destroy us, the children of Israel. Right? The foundation that is set for us to live and to thrive, right? Or the ground that is set, it's not meant for us, to grow, to be strengthened. Right? The conditions that are laid out are set to divide us, are set to keep us occupied with the incorrect things, and to keep us occupied from what we actually need to be doing. Right? What we should actually be doing is focusing on loving our people, focusing on loving our brothers, loving our sisters. Right? And much more to be focused on loving the Most High, which is the first and greatest commandment. And then to love your brother as yourself. But like I mentioned, the conditions, the foundation that is set for us, right, is contrary to the will of the Father. Right? The foundation that we're given, on how we're supposed to love, right? We're sitting on a foundation where we have to love everybody. We have to love a people that don't love us, a people that the Bible, the Most High, says are our enemy. Right? So us coming out of this way in this world, we're coming back to our God here in the ISUPK. We're coming from the land of our enemy, the foundation that they set for us, the ground that they set for us to grow in. We are coming out of that. We're coming out of that into the proper foundation that the Most High set for us, the children of Israel. Right? The correct foundation of the things that we are to delight in, the things that we are to seek after. Right? Since before we were even born, we have been set up, right, to engage in things that go against the will of the Father. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 83. Book of Psalms, chapter 83. And let's read in verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Right? The tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites of Moab, the Hagarenes, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines, and on, right? We read and understand that all the other nations gathered together against our people. Right, verse 2, it says, "For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones." Right, so just like Herod, before we are even born, right, there's already a plan, for a way for you, black man, you Hispanic man, to walk in. And because we are like sheep with no shepherd, that's the path that we take. We eat the food that is laid out before us. That's why you see we got pork and everything. You go to the gas station, they got pork and everything. When the Most High clearly instructs us in the word that we are to not eat anything unclean. Shrimp, lobster, rabbit, horses. Right? We are not to eat any of those things, and yet that is what's laid out before us to eat. the conditions of poverty that we're in, push us even more into eating these unclean things. Right? So the ways that we tread upon, right, they have been laid out for us, for your destruction, black man, for your destruction, Hispanic man. Right? And the Christian churches, any organization that names the name of God, that names the name of Christ, outside of the ISUPK, any organization that has named the name of the Most High or Christ or the jargon, the biblical jargon, they have done a total disservice to us, the children of Israel, by laying a foundation where we don't have to keep the law of the Most High. We don't have to heed and meditate day and night into the law of the Lord to observe and keep it. We don't have to do that. All you got to do, according to them, is just believe in Jesus. You can do whatever you want, and God is applauding you. But that is far from the truth, and it's a total disservice to our people. Right? Woe unto the pastors, the scriptures say. Woe unto the pastors that scatter the flock and lead them astray. Right now we're all scattered. We're all scattered everywhere we go. Being everywhere except in the place the Most High commanded us to be in, which is in the body of Yahushua. Right? Not Caesar Borgia, not white Jesus. Right? Let's continue. Let's go to Matthew chapter 13 and verse 25. Let's go to 24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man, which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Right? This enemy, it says he sowed tares among the wheat. Right? So our enemy, the enemy of God, the enemy of the children of Israel, has sowed tares amongst the wheat and went his way. The enemy sowed the tares and he went his way. And now we, as blacks and Hispanics, we follow after our enemy's way. What they have laid in the ground, what they have laid in the foundation, that we are to walk in, it's the way of your enemy. It's the way, of these damn devils that we now understand that the devil in the scriptures is talking about the white man. Right? And we have learned, right, the ways of the heathen. Right? We are God's chosen people, and the enemies of God is our enemies. We see it throughout the scriptures. But the false prophets and the false teachers will make you believe that the devil is some monster under the ground. Right? But the devil, you see him on your day to day. You see him on the dollar bill. You see him, in HR. right? Let's keep reading. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 4. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 4. And in verse 20. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 20. Says, my son, attend to my words, incline thine ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes, keep them in the midst of thine heart. For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. All right, so understanding this truth, understanding that the ways that have been laid out for us, right? We are to cease from those ways, right? We have already been tainted. We have already been corrupted, just simply by being born in a world led by wicked men. And like we read in the parable, right, these wicked men are our enemies. Before we were even born, they had already consulted, so that we may be born in a world to where we will not thrive, that we will not thrive as a people, so that we may remain destroyed. And it says the enemy laid tares. Right? If we look into like farm life, right, we'll understand that when tares are grown with wheat, and it affects the wheat. Right? It says if the tares, it says it competes with wheat for vital soil nutrients and water. It stunts its growth and can poison the harvest if their fungus infected grains are milled alongside the wheat. Right, so the tares, they compete with the soil's nutrients and the water, and it stunts its growth. Right, so from the moment that we're born, ain't no telling what these devils, have plotted, so that when a young baby, a black baby, a Hispanic baby, or a Native Indian baby are born, ain't no telling what's being done to stunt the growth of our people. Right? I see a lot of my people in Mexico that are malnutritioned, don't get the necessary things they need to eat, education. I hear there's a lot of countries that give free education, but yet here, us in Egypt, in modern day Egypt, the land of bondage, we don't get free education. Right? A lot of us don't get enough to eat the correct way, to get the necessary nutrients for us to grow and get strong. Right? They want our people to stay destroyed. Right? It says that the tares compete with the wheat for nutrients, water, and it stunts its growth. Right? And so therefore, us as blacks and Hispanics, right, we need to separate from our enemies. We need to separate from these people. And do what the Most High instructed, and is to gather ourselves together. And that's only going to take place here in the ISUPK. If we read in Zephaniah, we get a clear instruction as to what you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are to do. Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1 says, gather yourselves together. Yeah, gather together, O nation not desired. Right? That nation that is not desired by these white people, that's you, black man, Hispanic man, the children of Israel. Right? Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17. Jeremiah chapter 17 and starting in verse 9. It says, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Everything that we've learned growing up in this society has deceived us. Everything we have in our heart, right, in our minds, as far as what we consider to be correct, what we consider to be the thing to do, right? It has been deceptively planted in our hearts. We've had no one, to guard, right, and protect our minds, to protect our heart. Right? It says the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Verse 10, it says, I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. Right, so the Lord, the Most High, he's gonna discipline us for not following after his ways, right? But the ways that we have learned, again, they are the ways of the heathen, the ways of our enemy, right? And we've been deceived, and we've been led astray by our desires. That's why in the scriptures, I don't know if it's in this one here. I think it's in right, where it says it says your thoughts are not my thoughts. Right? Our thoughts are not the Most High's thoughts. That's why we so desperately need for us to come back to the Lord and gather with our people here in the ISUPK, so that we can then have the mind of Christ, so that we can go from having a deceitful heart that's desperately wicked, right? And no one can know it. No one can know, what your coworker gonna do the next day. He might be the dude to show up, trying to unalive everybody. There's no way to know What other desperate, wicked thing, somebody's gonna do because their heart is deceitful. It'll tell you one thing one day and another the other. Right? But when you separate yourself, right, and you seek the Most High and gather with your people, right, there's a change that is taking place. You're being renewed in your mind. Again, from going from a deceitful heart that's desperately wicked to having the mind of Christ. Right? You want to have the mind of Christ, black man, Hispanic man, get in all black and serve under Commander General Yohana. This is where you're going to find the mind of Christ. Not in no damn Catholic church, not in no damn Christian church. And you see the same craftiness of these devils that all of a sudden you hear about certain celebrities that they gave their life to Christ, quote unquote. And you see them and now they're allegedly worshiping the Lord, and you see these celebrities. Why does that happen? It's to keep your eyes off the truth, right, that is being proclamated in these last days by the priests and prophets of the Lord here in the ISUPK. And if you're wise, you'll heed to what's being said. You'll heed to the words that are being spoken by Commander General Yohana and all the generals and the captains and the officers. Where are we at? Jeremiah. Let's go to Matthew chapter 15. Let's go to Matthew chapter 15 and starting in verse 18. Matthew 15, verse 18. It says, but those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man, but to eat with unwashed hands defileth not a man. So if you pay attention to the things that people say, that's all you see come out of their mouth. Evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications. That's all you hear in the music, in the movies. If you have conversations with people at your slave or at your job or wherever, all you hear coming out of people's mouths is these things. People having their mind, ready to murder somebody. They having their mind to commit adultery, fornication, thefts. Right? What's that popular song that's going around about? Thief. I don't remember how it go, but I think it's a woman singing it, talking about where the thieves at or where the scammers at. That's the mind that's in our people. That's the foundation of your desires, black man and Hispanic man. That's the foundation that has been laid for you to walk in. Right, but the preaching prophets of the ISUPK, right, we're here showing you the way of the Most High. Right, that your heart, that your mind may be cleansed, that you be brainwashed, because in your brain is full of murders, adultery, fornication, thefts, blasphemies, that you may be washed and begin to walk in the way that the Most High laid out for you, the foundation that the Most High has laid out for us as blacks and Hispanics. It's not here in America. It's not here in the U.S. where they allow homosexuality, and they allow they want to implement child love, which is child molestation. They want to make that okay. The same way they've already established homosexuality and it's accepted everywhere. The same way they want to implement child abuse, child molestation. We know it as child abuse now, but they're gonna call it child love or something like that. So it's definitely not here in America. Let's keep reading. Let's go to Genesis. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Verse 6, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Right, so this tree, right, that Adam and Eve ate from, right, is that of another nation, of another people, right, learning and following after the ways of the devil, following after the ways of the white man, following what the Most High told us not to. Right? The Most High told Adam and Eve to not eat from this tree. It says in verse 6, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired. Right? So before we're even born, right, our enemies is already setting a path for us to divulge in, right? Things that are pleasant and things that are to be desired, but that go against what the Most High has laid out for us. So the desires that we adapt to, right? The desires that we adapt to growing up is what has been laid out there. Like, say, take for example, kids growing up today. Right now, we don't see a full acceptance of that child love that I talked about earlier. But let's say in the future, a child grows in that environment, right? He's not gonna know and understand that it's wrong and that it's against the law of the Most High, right? For it to be that so-called child love. They're gonna deem it as it being something okay, right? And so we need to come back to the Lord and follow the correct way, right? Not what has been already laid out for us. Because what has already been laid out for us, our children are being led to walk in that. Right, let's go to the book of James, chapter 1. James chapter 1 and verse 13. It says, "Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death." Right. So from the moment that we're even before we're born, there's snares being laid for us to walk in based on our desires, based on what seems pleasant and seems pleasurable, even way before we're even born. The things that our parents go through, the things that they do, the things, it's being like, for example, when you hear the term like crack babies, right? I heard that term a lot growing up, or alcohol baby, or a heroin baby. We're being given these things before we're even born, right? And there's so much other things that we fall into that basically dirties our mind, dirties our heart, and we need to be cleansed, right? Emphasizing the importance of separating and learning to be holy, learning to walk after the ways that the Most High set for us, not the ways of our enemies. Let's go to 1 John chapter 1. 1 John chapter 1. And 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Right? We need to love the Most High and love our people, not love the world, not love the things in the world. Right? The things that we learned, to embrace, that has become part of us, living in our hearts, living in our minds. Right? And we need to separate from that. Not love the world or the things in the world. That's talking about the world of these damn devils. Right? Let's go to Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8 and verse 5. It says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please God. As long as we're bound, by the ways of this world, as long as we're tied to these things and unwilling to let them go, we can't please the Most High. We can't serve the Most High. You can't come in here and get in all black and do the work of the Lord being tied to the world. We have to forsake completely, right, the ways of the world. And it's crucial for us to gather with our people here in the ISUPK, because you're not going to be able to do it on your own. Right? You have to be continually, with godly men, who have paved the way. Right? Yahweh, the way that Yahweh Shah laid out for his disciples and for everyone that has understood this truth. Right? We have to make the conscious decision by understanding who we are and understanding the reality of what's going on out here, and make that conscious decision to forsake what we have learned and return back to what our forefathers gave us here in these scriptures, here in the ISUPK. Right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy chapter 30, and it's verse 19. It says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, that thou mayest love the Lord thy God, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him. For he is thy life and the length of thy days, and thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Right? We are to choose life. And again, right here in the ISUPK is where you're going to find that life, black man, Hispanic man. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 55. Isaiah 55 and verse 6 says, seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. The fact that if you have heard, right, the truth, if you have heard us, whether speaking through one of these classes or in the street, it's the opportune time for you to forsake the ways of the heathen, right, and come serve your God, right? Because the scripture says, seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Right? It's going to come a time where this truth, it's not going to be readily available like it is now. Right? Verse 7, it says, let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Lord. Again, you're born and raised in a world that doesn't pertain to you, and everything that you have acquired from the moment you're in the womb, from the moment that you're born, from the moment that you're in elementary, from the moment the time that you become a young man and in adulthood, right? Everything that you've acquired it is not of our fathers. It's not of our ancestors. It's not of the Lord, right? The Most High clearly said that your ways are not his ways. Your thoughts are not his thoughts. So the fact that you are not walking with your brothers and sisters here in the ISUPK, that's a big red flag. That's a strong indicator that your thoughts are not the thoughts of the Most High. Right? You're a wicked man, a wicked woman, murderers, adulterers, fornicators, deceivers. Right? That's the foundation that has been set for you. That is what operates your engine, so to speak. That is what moves you when you wake up in the morning. Right? The thoughts that have been acquired in a world governed by our enemy. Let me read this again. It says, Isaiah 55 and verse 6, seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous his thoughts, and let him return unto the Lord. Right? We have to forsake our thoughts. Right, I'm going to read one more scripture, And then gonna go ahead and close. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 37, and verse 4. It says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. When you come back to serve the Most High amongst your people, right, it says, he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. You're no longer going to be led astray, by what you deem to be correct in your desires and what's pleasurable, but you're going to forsake your pleasures, your desires. You're going to forsake your ways, which is technically, right, the ways of the heathen. It's not our ways. Right? It says, delight thyself also in the Lord. What does that mean, to delight yourself in the Lord? Right? You delight yourself in the Lord, by loving the Lord's people. You take delight, in loving your brother and your sister the correct way. By being a brother, by being a sister, That's how you delight yourself in the Lord. It says, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Right? We're no longer going to have the desire to, get high. We're no longer going to have the desires to engage in any activity that is contrary to the will of the Father, that is contrary to the laws that he gave us. Verse 5, it says, commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Verse 7, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. We're going to let, the heathen and these wicked men, let them do all manner of wickedness they please. But as for us, we're going to serve the Most High and observe the laws, statutes, and commandments that he gave us. And with that, we're going to go ahead and close the class. And we're going to do the safety announcements. We are the ISUPK, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister arrives at the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They should only be greeted. They are here to cleanse themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister is interested in someone in particular, they must get permission from the head to speak with that brother or sister. There will be another 6 months during which the brother and sister will court. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will obtain permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 and 21 and Malachi 3, 8 through 10 means tenth in Hebrew, ma'asharah. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to General Mayakala or the teacher. For the priest fund, voluntary offering for the priest, not mandatory. any amount you wish during the next convocation, which the next convocation would be in September the 11th, which is the Feast of Trumpets. And if anyone wants to become a trooper in the school, start dressing in all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. And with that, we're going to go ahead and close. So like
I want to give a courtesy salute to a verse. Men of Israel, Ma'am Shabbat, I Majum, Barak,
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah Brakatah.
Lord, I would give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Ma'am Shabbat, I Majum, Barak,
Yahweh Shamar Latham by Shem Yahweh Shah. Class dismissed.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to isubk.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one West. They're one West. They're one West. They're one